With a new century, so too came a new era of starship designs. An era that would actually reinvent the classics that had once helped establish the Federation itself. And out of this retro starship design revival program, the unexpected choice would be made to update the Proxima Class design into what would become known as the Pollux Class. But what do we know about this tactically impressive exploration starship design? Well, today we'll find out. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon, a Star Trek web series that dives into the history of any given topic using beta canon sources and my own imagination to fill in the gaps. In today's episode, we're taking a look at the Pollux Class as first seen in Star Trek Online to better understand its place in Star Trek history. Please note, this is the final part of my 3-part series on the history of the Proxima Class, and is all about the amazing 25th century design of the ship by the teams at Star Trek Online. It's just awesome, and I highly recommend that you head over to Star Trek Online and fly this starship beauty right into the history books now. But, as always, because this is just a beta canon video, all information relayed should pretty much be taken with a grain of stardust and only considered a little bit of Star Trek fun. And so, with all that out of the way, let's begin. Little did Starfleet Command or Montgomery Scott himself realize the influence that this ingenious engineer would have over the future of starship design developments in the 24th and 25th centuries. After a crash landing on a Dyson sphere forced Scotty to rig the Jenolan's transporter systems in a desperate attempt to stay alive, the engineer would exist in that transporter system's buffer for 75 years. Until his rescue by the Enterprise D in 2369. Though technically 147 years old at the time of his rescue, physically, Montgomery Scott was still only 72 years old. After saving the Enterprise D along with its chief engineer Geordi LaForge, Montgomery Scott would be given a shuttlecraft and sent on his merry way, given time to adapt to this new era while simultaneously reading up on all technological advancements that had occurred while he was stuck in the transporter system. Scotty would end up showing up at Starfleet Command, offering his services as a starship design engineer, helping design such classes as the Sovereign and Odyssey. As the average human lifespan was about 150 years at the time, Scotty would be promoted to the rank of Admiral and continue as the head of Utopia Planitia Shipyard's Starship Development Division until the synth attack of 2385. And although he would help set up the new Starship facility around Saturn Moon's Titan, Scotty would finally decide that it was time for retirement, but agree to act as a consultant should Starfleet Command need him to do so. Scotty was fascinated by the Borg Reclamation Project, visiting the facility multiple times while also digesting and inventing several of the new technologies that would be included in starship designs of the 25th century. When Starfleet Command began the Retro Starship Design Project, it was Scotty himself who suggested the various classes that should be included in the initial batch of Starfleet's new designs, but not all of his suggestions were taken seriously. And after the Battle of Frontier Day in 2401, Starfleet Command instead decided to focus their fleet rebuilding efforts on already tried and true starship designs. And by the time that normal starship construction efforts had recommenced, the Proxima redesign had become another forgotten starship design, that is, until Montgomery Scott's disappearance in 2410. In an effort to discover what happened to his friend, Commodore Geordi LaForge visited the home of the missing Scotsman, only to discover a heart-filled message left for him, thanking LaForge for all his help in acclimating to the 24th and 25th centuries, and that he had decided to head out into the final frontier one last time before joining the friends he once served with so long ago. Scotty also left his entire database of technological ideas and starship designs to Geordi LaForge. And after careful review of its contents, Commodore LaForge would make several starship design suggestions to Starfleet Command for them to consider. and after convincing LaForge to oversee these construction projects, in 2514, the reimagined Proxima Class starship design named the Pollux Class would be born. Sitting at a length of 502 meters, the Pollux Class would be designed to be operated by only 352 officers and crew members, with additional space for up to 1,000 scientists, flight officers, or military personnel as required. Like all vessel designs of the 25th century, the Pollux Class would be both warp and transwarp capable, with a standard safe cruising speed of warp factor 8.6 and an emergency maximum speed of warp factor 9.975 for 48-hour increments. Implementing several experimental upgrades suggested by Scotty himself, the Pollux Class would end up having a maximum transwarp cruising speed of 10 to the power of 3.2, making this class the fastest quad-nacelle starship design ever created up to this point in Starfleet history. Sometimes referred to as simply the Proxima III or Neo-Proxima class, Scotty knew that exploring the final frontier could be a dangerous job, and so his redesign of the class would combine the latest weaponry available to protect the class alongside all the scientific advancements needed for long-distance exploration. So tactically, the Pollux Class would be armed to the teeth for an exploration vessel, and thus the Pollux Class would contain uprated phaser emitter arrays, as well as 4 torpedo launching systems both forward and aft, capable of firing photon, quantum, and even transphasic torpedoes, with every vessel of the class storing these weapons as standard. The Pollux Class would also contain the latest advancements in ablative hull armor, as well as uprated multispectral, regenerative quantum shielding. Like the Proxima Class refit, the Pollux Class would contain forward-facing shuttle bays, abandoning the through-style shuttle bays the original Proxima Class had held. But unlike the aforementioned Proxima Class refit design, the Pollux Class would contain a mix of scientific and fighter auxiliary spacecraft in its hold. The launch of the Pollux Class would at first be met with puzzled looks and whispers behind closed doors. Unlike her predecessors, the Pollux Class was not kept a classified secret, but rather was reported on by Federation news services daily, with the entire shakedown cruise of the Pollux actually streamed live to the Federation's public to honor Montgomery Scott's contributions to Starfleet. And after each test blew its proposed specs out of the cosmos, a sudden turnaround of sentiment seemed to grip the Federation, making the Pollux Class a hit and a hero class of its age. And as a result, the Pollux Class would serve within the fleet until 2520, when advancements in hull design and configurations would finally force Starfleet Command to decommission the class in favor of newer starship designs. An unusual design from the get-go, the Proxima Class, the Proxima Class refit, and of course the Pollux Class, would come to symbolize the out-of-the-box type thinking that Starfleet Command was capable of, and thanks to its final iteration and its historical lineage, would be taken from the shadows, becoming the heroic starship line she rightfully deserved, earning all 3 classes their amazing place in Starfleet and Federation history. Thank you for watching today's episode of Truth or Myth Beta Canon. What do you think of the Pollux Class and the historical narrative that I've created here? Do you want to see more videos like this one? Well, leave your comments in the section below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, hitting that little bell icon so you won't miss a single video we release. Want to help the channel take a centuries-old starship design and reinvent it for a new generation? Then consider becoming a channel member subscriber or a channel patron, both a major help that allows this channel to purchase resources and 3D models to keep it going. The link to both memberships is in the description below. Thanks again for watching, live long, and prosper.